How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Bengals Colts. Now, both teams walk into this game kind of really in similar situations. Maybe not similar teams, similar situations where, hey, I don't think we expected to walk in this game without a starting quarterback. Both teams are going to walk in without a starting quarterback. But then you look and say, hey, Colts playing some good football. I mean, if you said 7-5, Richardson was going to go out. He was going to be 7-5. You told the Cincinnati Bengals and this fan base who felt like a lot of us felt like the Bengals are out of it for the rest of the season. And Jake Browning goes out there and puts on an absolute clinic against a team vying for the #1 seed in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bengals now find themselves at 6-6. They're looking ahead of them, saying Colts, Steelers. You know, there's only a few teams ahead of them from making the playoffs. Once you get the playoffs, anything's there. Then you get the Colts who look and say, hey, 4-game win streak. Gardner Minshew figuring things out. This team figuring things out. They got one of the best pass rushes in the league. When you put those two together, you win a lot of football games. Colts looking ahead of them and say, hey, Jaguars maybe without their quarterback for some time here. We're 1 game back. Colts all of a sudden feel like they beat these Bengals, a game they should win. Colts got their first place, or tied for first in the division. They still wouldn't have the tiebreaker, but they're right in the thick of things. Two teams with a lot to play for late in the season. And this is going to be an interesting matchup, because I feel like both teams kind of have the answer to what the other team's doing in some regards here. The Colts, Michael Pittman, one of the best slot receivers in the league, sees a lot of snaps from the slot. Meanwhile, the Bengals, Mike Hilton and company, the Bengals do a pretty exceptional job of slowing down teams from the slot receiver position. Obviously, not everyone's a Michael Pittman, but they do a pretty exceptional job there. Colts don't use the tight ends as much as some other teams do. That's what the Bengals' weakness is. Colts need to utilize that tight end in the passing game. They want to move the football up and down the field. That is without question the Bengals' weakness there. Colts going to be a team that's not afraid to run the football 20 times this game. I mean, that's what they'd like to do. I mean, if you said a recipe success, they said, let's run it 20 times. Let's get 4.5 yards per carry. And let's go ahead and, get those short third downs, sling it out there 15 times to Michael Pittman. That's the answer they want to do. And they're more than capable of doing it. They've been doing that week in and week out for a lot of the season here, especially with Zach Moss back there. He's been having a really good season. Jonathan Taylor obviously having injury issues throughout the year, but Zach Moss having a great season. Bengals defense, it's been very up and down when it comes to stopping the run. If you can't stop the run in this football game, the Colts very well go up and down in this field and take care of business pretty easily. Bengals defense finds a way to stop the run, which they've been doing, again, a better job of. Still a couple of chunk plays, big plays here and there, but for the most part, they're starting to tighten up there. And they need to. They need to tighten up in this football game. They need to force some field goals without question. And I think the Bengals defense, it's capable. We've seen them do it in the past. They're capable of doing it now, because I think that's going to be the game for the Colts. We'll see what they do. We'll see if they take some shots downfield, take some chances. We've seen them do it. And Bengals, if there's one thing we've seen it so far, is that secondary is still allowing some bigger plays. We're starting to see them play better. We're starting to see some of these young guys step up and, the Jordan Battles of the world, starting to make some bigger plays downfield. The Bengals need that. They need it desperately to win this football game. Meanwhile, you look at the Bengals on the offensive side and say, hey, we'd like to run a football 20 times. That'd be great. Joe Mixon, once again, last week, 3.8 yards per carry. Much better on the ground for the Bengals. And that's what's crazy about it when you really think about the bigger picture. He still averaged 3.8 yards per carry, but it felt like the Bengals were running the football a lot more effectively, and they need to. They need to prevent the loss rushes for loss. They just need to churn forwards and allow Jake Browning these shorter fields. And more importantly, I think the Bengals need to allow more Chase Brown into this football game. After seeing the way he played last week. Yeah, he got, again, not a lot of opportunities, but he had some. His vision is unreal. His ability to make some explosive big plays, or seeing something that change of pace back the Bengals have been looking for a very long time. And now you bring in Chase Brown and say, hey, we got to allow this guy to try to make some plays. We got to allow this guy to try to bust off a 20, 30-yarder and flip the field for this football team. Make things easy. Wear that Colts defensive front down. A Colts defensive front that is going to be a problem. One of the best defensive fronts in the NFL right now. The front four, they don't need a blitz. And that's the beauty of having a front four like the Colts have. Currently the second most sacks in the league. The Colts are running to it with this game. And who has the most? The Baltimore Ravens. We bring that up because, well, we've seen what happened in the game. The Bengals playing the Ravens. They've struggled a couple times against them. It's a tough matchup because, again, it's obviously more than the pass rush for the Baltimore Ravens, but it's that pass rush that the Bengals have struggled with. And are we going to see that in Jake Browning's face more? And if it's in Jake Browning's face more, are we going to see this man possibly make more turnovers? Because I think here's the thing that's going to have to happen for the Bengals to win this football game. Zach Taylor is going to have to be willing to unleash Jake Browning. He did it after a couple drives last week. He gave him an opportunity at 32 of 37. You talk about building the guy's confidence up and him just running with it. That's what Jake Browning did last week. But we know against the Steelers, we know against the Ravens that this Bengals team, it's a different football team when they go up against a good pass rush. How is this offensive line going to do that? Has now seen a lot of continuity. He's played every single game together this season. A lot of continuity. Going to play better and better down the stretch. That's important for the run game. That's important for protecting Jake Browning. And ultimately, I think they continue to play well. It's going to be, what's going to be interesting here is seeing how Zach Taylor calls this football game. Because Zach Taylor, I thought that did an outstanding job against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But hey, guess what? Your quarterback throws the ball 37 times. Your quarterback gashes a defense. Teams are going to pick up on that. They're going to watch the film. They're going to adjust. They're going to see what they have to do to slow this quarterback down. We know that that's what the league is. It's a game of adapting. We really got to see Browning go out there and sling it. Boy, he was impressive. And a lot of people said, hey, you got to remember Jake Browning didn't see the same looks Joe Burrow seen. And they're right. There was really teasing the run game, the screen game, and it kind of brought the safeties up, had the guys cheating a little bit, if you will, as well. And it really gave him the opportunity to make take some throws. And he had some time to throw the football, which is also very important. I look at this football game and say, hey, I hope the Bengals win. I think they're playing a good football team. I think the Bengals, the confidence couldn't be any higher. And again, credit to Zach Taylor, credit to this bunch for staying together. It's easy to get gassed out once you watch a franchise quarterback get injured. And for this team, after losing a football game last week, this team to come back this week and say, hey, still got some fight in us against the Jaguars, now going up against the Colts. But you look at this game on paper and what the Bengals have struggled with in the past. It's been a team with a great pass rush and a team that can run the rock. The Colts, when they're playing their best football, are getting a great pass rush and they are running that rock. And I think the Bengals have a hard time matching up against that this week. I think they need to force a turnover. And Minshew can do it. Minshew can cause a turnover. They need to force a turnover. They need to flip that field once. They need to capitalize on those turnovers. I mean, that's what's crazy about that game last week. Was it Pratt? Was it Bad? Who was it? I can't remember now. Dropped an interception right in his hands, went to the other guy for a touchdown pass instead of outside. It went in. That changes that game. It would have been within 3. Bengals got to capitalize on the defensive side. They got to make what the defense has done in the past, by the way, is make some great turnovers down the field, get the football back in the offense's hand. That's what I want to see here, but I think it's going to be tough. I would say 23-20 Colts in this one. And it's hard to bet against the Bengals when they get hot. It's the matchup for me here. Love y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.